Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Karibuni tena kwa channel yetu. So today we're going to study about money. Now money. So in case you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe so that you can give me money as well. But all in all, let's start this session. So make sure to subscribe. This is my first lesson dealing with business, and inshallah support me on this journey. I think I have a lot now to finish up with grade 10 marks, grade 10 chemistry, grade 10 business now. Nimejiingiza katika but all in all, let's hope I'll finish those, especially grade 9 marks as well. And inshallah, if I finish this, then there's a huge project that will be coming up in the future days. Now, Sub-strand 1.1, money. Now, money is anything that is usually accepted as a medium of exchange in buying and selling goods or services. In case you want a good, then we use money to obtain that good. If you want to sell that good, then we get money. Okay, so for example, if a seller sells an item, he receives money, and the money that he receives now, he uses it for his personal use, maybe in buying necessity or any other product that he might want. So again, so we look into that, and the subtopics include you look into the features of the Kenyan currency. Before we get into functions or supply, we need to know which particular features are there to determine if that is money or not. Especially knowing the Kenyan currency is very essential. Zingine utakoniwa kama hujui note ya KTV. That is now the topic for today as well. The second part we look into is functions of money. Third one is demand for money. Fourth one is supply of money. Fifth one is ethical and unethical practices, and lastly is role of money in our daily lives. So yeah, let's venture into the next slide. So but before that, let me just explain a little bit on each subtopic. That we look into functions of money. Money function yake nini, yatusaidia kwa wapi? Third thing, demand for money. In case you don't want to spend money and you want to hold that money, then which aspect do you consider for demand of money? So supply of money is just the money circulating around us, and ethical and unethical practices that usually happen when you have money, and the role of money in our daily lives. So let's venture into the next. Now, money, obviously, there's the key features of money or Kenyan currency. We have denominations. By the way, you have banknotes and we have coins. So we have banknotes of 50, 100, 200, 500, 1000 shillings, and we also have coins of 1, 5, 10, 20, and 40 shilling coins. So the security features that we have include the feel, the look, and the tilt. Okay, so sometimes you need to feel so that you know if this is money or not, or you look at it. There are some key aspects that you see in that money to determine if that is a Kenyan currency or not. And there's the tilt. What happens if you tilt the money? Is there something, a holographic thing that you see when you tilt it? Okay, now the first one is the watermark, and the watermark, you'll see this is very, very important, because a watermark is what determines the Kenyan currency. So the watermark that we have here on our notes include the lion's head. You'll see most of the notes have a lion's head. If it doesn't have, ukipata mnyama mwingine like a monkey, then hiyo si Kenyan currency. So it also has the CBK text and value, especially money that usually comes out from the banks. Utaona pale CBK text value that is usually visible against light. And we have the see-through register, and the front and the back patterns usually align perfectly to light. And then we have the fluorescent ink. Utoiona unless you put it under UV light rate, so it glows under UV light rays. Then we have the holographic patch. So that currency or that note changes image or color when you tilt it. Yeah, then we have the security thread. Now the security thread is just a continuous line that is found along that note that usually changes red to green when you tilt it. Utaiona ikiwa ni hivi utaona ni red, ukitilt kidogo tu ishabadilika kuwa green. Then we have tactile marks. This is mostly for the feeling part. So it's just a raised print for the visually impaired users. Kwa wale ambao hawaoni, kama wataka kujua if this is a note or not, lazima watafute hiyo tactile mark. Is usually raised print, ni kidogo yani imejiraise kwenye hiyo pesa. And then we have the micro printing. That is a tiny text that is usually under those notes, and it's usually very hard to replicate. And obviously you have the serial numbers. Lazima zitakuwa kila note iko na serial number. Kama haina basi is a fake money. So we have the serial numbers that is usually a unique identifier per note. So these are the things that you usually see. In case kama unataka kujua this is fake money or real money, you need to have these features in your money. So and then we look at the, by the way, the money, the currencies and everything is usually issued and regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. So that is the main function of the CBK. It regulates the bank and it also regulates the currency that we have. It can print out money, but we can't do that for now. I think you guys know the reason. The reason why we don't print money, even though we have a machine for printing money, is because once we print a lot of money, then the value of money will fall down. Na maanisha pesa ziko kwenye society, so itakuwa hata ile value ya hiyo pesa itakuwa kidogo sana, and that is how inflation comes about. So the themes and the material, we'll look into it. Especially utapata 500 shilling notes, 1000 shilling notes, kila note iko na theme yake. For example, the 1000 shilling note is about the parliament or the governance. Okay, the main theme is on governance. The 500 shilling note is on tourism, which we'll look into on the next slide. Now just know that the notes that are usually printed on high cotton paper, sana sana ni high cotton paper, and the coins are usually in metal alloys. Now if you look at this is the 50 shilling notes whose theme is on green energy, ambao ni wind power, geothermal power and solar power. So 50 shilling notes, though hata ukiona its color, the theme is just green energy, wind power, geothermal power, solar power. Now if you look at the 100 shilling note, the color itself, its theme is on agriculture. So the maize that we have, the tea, then the livestock. And then we have the 200 shilling note ambao ni shilingi 200. The theme is on social services, the social services that we receive from the government, and that includes the medical services, afya bora, matibabu bora, and etc. Education, do we get quality education or not, and athletics, especially wale kina Kipchoge ndo yaangalie hapo. So yeah, let's go to the other slide. Now we have the 500 shillings ambao ni shilingi 500, and the theme is on tourism. That is because a lot of people come here to watch our parks, beaches, and the Simba at the line. And then the 1000 shilling notes, and which is shilingi 1000, whose theme is just only on governance, especially the parliament itself. So iangalia sana parliament. So it's because the parliament is at the apex, which represents the will of the people. Ndo maana parliament ikaekwa hapo. So yeah, I think that is something that you guys know today, and hopefully you will find you get educated a lot in these slides that are usually coming right now. Now we have functions of money. Functions of money in financial transactions. What is the function of money? Now, money can be used as a medium of exchange because it's widely accepted, is a widely accepted payment, and it removes the need for barter. So zamani ilikuwa watu watumia barter trade. If you have maize and the other guy has maybe coffee and you want coffee, so you just give him maize and he gives you coffee. So that was the main principle of barter trade. But right now, we have cash. So a farmer can sell maize for cash and then uses that cash to buy clothes. Then we have store of value. Money can be used as a store of value. It lets people hold wealth over time. Inflation can erode it. So money can be used as a store of value. Kama unataka kuwa wealth, then it means that you need a lot of money to determine whether you're wealthy or not. So you can use it as a store of value. So instead of storing perishable goods, kwa sababu goods ukiwa na nyingi, even though ya determine wewe ni wealthy, but at the end of the day, after 2 months 3 months zile goods zitaharibika. So it's better kuiekelea kwa pesa, ndo uoneshe yani ndo uweze kuhold the wealth using cash or even bank accounts. So can be used as a unit of account. So it can be used as a unit of account. Is used can be used as a common standard for pricing and comparing value. So for example, bread costs 50 shillings. So unajua hiyo cost ya bread ni hiyo, and if you want to compare it to a milk which it costs 100 shillings, it's very easy to compare. Wewe unajua tu milk ni kidogo more expensive than bread. So we use money to act as a common standard for pricing and comparing value. Now the last one is standard of deferred payment. It enables borrowing and lending repayable in future. So money gives you that will. So itakufanya yani uweze kuchukua loan kutoka watu, especially you can take a bank loan which is repaid over several months. So the presence of money made others peer to borrow a lot. So yeah. Now demand. Now what is demand? Demand for money, or commonly known as liquidity preference, it refers to the desire by individuals, especially us and businesses, to hold on to money instead of spending it. Okay, so mainly demand of money has the reason why we demand money, because business and individuals usually hold on to money instead of spending it, is because of these three aspects or three reasons. So it has three main aims. So watu wengi huwa waiekelea pesa and they just store it and don't spend it. The reason is because of these three factors. The first one is transaction motive. So transaction motive, sometimes sisi twahitaji hizo pesa kutumia for our own expenses. So money is kept to be used in paying expenses that take place daily. It can be as a business expense or personal expense. Sometimes wataka kitu, lazima uwe na hiyo pesa, and that is why we store money. Or sometimes if you want to buy something for your business, then we need money for that cause as well. Now the second part is the precautionary motive. Money is demanded or kept to meet unforeseen expenses and emergency bills which can occur unexpectedly, for example accident or sickness. So sometimes mzee wako aweza kuwa mgonjwa ama wewe ukawa mgonjwa, and you need money for that, and that is why we keep money. So just in case something like that happens, then the money is there to meet that cause ama to satisfy that cause. So we store money ama we hold on to money to help us in emergency situations, either accidents or sickness. The other one is speculative motive. So money is kept to buy property in the future when the prices fall, e.g. buying of shares. So wewe unaona hii property bei yake iko chini, why not buy it, and then after 10 years utaishikilia kwa sababu itapanda price yake. So sometimes we keep money to invest in properties. So now factors that determine the demand of money include the following, but you need to explain in your exams. Sema tu sija explain because I know it cover a lot of presentation, so I'll just explain it. So the first factor is the level of income. The higher you earn is the more money you will save. Okay, you'll use less money kwa sababu uko na pesa, na ukiwa na pesa mingi jua mtu ambao ni millionaire ataisave sana kuliko mtu ambayo income yake ni kidogo sana. Someone who earns less usually doesn't save a lot because he has less money in his bank account. So what he does, he pays for expenses ambazo ziko pale nyumbani. Sasa just imagine mtu ana earn 30,000 na rent tayari 25,000, atasave nini? It doesn't make sense. So if someone is earning like 300,000 or 400,000 and the rent is 30,000, obviously he'll still have money in his bank account, so he can save it for such causes like transaction, precautionary motive, and speculative motive. The second one is the interval between paydays. I've written 2 times, but it's just written once. Interval between paydays. If the interval between paydays is very small, yani maybe let's say after 7 days walipo mshahara hapo kwa hapo, then that's such a person. Then such a person will most likely spend money kwa sababu yapata tu kila after 7 days. Interval between paydays is very small, so yajua akipata ataizitumia hapo hapo. So if your interval between paydays is large, then that's such a person holds on to money. So ule ambao labda alipo baada mwezi, yajua hapo sasa ni shida, so why not save money just in case kuna emergency situation I can provide for my family. Lakini mtu ambaye alipo after every 1 week yajua pesa izipata, so obviously he won't hold on to money a lot, so yajua aweza kutumia every now and then. So the third one is the ability of the individual to get credit. So such a person who has the ability to get credit, or people and businesses who can easily get credit, likely to hold less money. So mtu ambao yani yaweza pata deni kirahisi, huyu jamaa hatisi ati yaweza shikilia pesa, atazitumia tu pale pale. Then those who find it difficult to obtain such credits, ndo maana utaona wengi ambao yani waona shida kupata pesa. That is why they save a lot of money, because they know hawezi pata pesa kwingine. But someone who knows he can access money from anywhere or from anyone, yaona sasa si faida ni save money. Why should I save money when I have someone to help me with money? Now the fourth one is on the individual's lifestyle preferences and status. So especially the wealthy people. The wealthy people have more money to hold than poor people. Poor people hawana pesa, so hata zile pesa ambazo wazipata pia watazitumia hapo hapo. But someone who is wealthy, a millionaire, a billionaire, he has a lot of money, so mara zingine hata hajui atumie kwa wapi. So he invests in properties, he invests in shares and etc. So people with a higher lifestyle hold on to money or demand a lot of money than those with very poor lifestyles. The fifth one is the number of dependents. If you have a huge number of dependents, then you're likely to hold more money. Sawa, yani watu wako kuna watu wengi wa kudepend wewe tu. So the number of dependents, individuals with more dependents are likely to hold more money than their counterparts with very small families. Sawa, so wewe uko na family kama 5 hivi ama 6, ukitumia pesa hapo kwa hapo mitihani sasa, hadi uishikilie. That is why most people with huge families usually save a lot to satisfy their family's needs, so and they invest it in other things. So if you have few dependents, kama kuna watu kidogo tu, obviously you can use it and there's no use of saving it. So the sixth one is the level of taxation. The guys that are usually taxed higher are the ones who spend a lot, because ukiwa tax higher maanisha income yako itakuwa kidogo, sio? So because the ones that are usually highly taxed have less disposable income and therefore hold relatively less money compared to those who are taxed less. So I think so just like we said, the level of income, if you have a higher income, you can hold on to that money. But if your income is very low, especially kuna taxation, hiyo income yako kama ni 50,000 ishapunguzwa mpaka 37,000. Faida gani sasa ya kuhold money? It's better to spend it than to save it. Yeah. So let's go on to the other slide. Now, why demand for money matters for economic development? Kwa nini to save? Itafaidisha vipi nchi? Now, the first thing that it can benefit is it facilitates transaction and trades, especially when there is money pale, then it usually facilitates transaction kwa sababu kuna pesa tembea. So it facilitates transaction and trade. It simplifies exchange, enables specialization and wider trade. Second thing, it enables investment and capital formation. If you save, you usually invest in a lot of things. So it can fund machinery, technology, and infrastructure for the country as a whole. The third one, it promotes specialization and division of labor. People focus on their strength and trade output. So the fourth one is supports financial markets. Ni soko ambapo kuna selling and buying of stock exchange. So it underpins bank and stock markets that channel savings into investment. So ikiwa kuna investment nyingi, so obviously financial markets are supported because financial markets deal with investment sana. Fifth one is facilitates government functions. Okay, it facilitates government function kama vile taxes that are paid in money, fund public services. So, and sixth one, measures economic activity. It allows you to calculate the GDP, especially kama wajua pesa ngapi huwa kuna ule akonao. So it is very easy to calculate GDP, inflation and income. So the last one is reduces transaction costs. So it avoids barter inefficiencies like finding a trading partner. So kwa sababu tayari the demand for money is there. Now let's go to this other aspect. Supply of money. It refers to the total amount of money available in an economy at any given time. So that is supply of money. So money is supplied there. So money iko pale in an economy. It's very available. So if someone says there's a higher supply of money, it means that money is atembea hapo kwenye economy yetu. If there's low supply, yamaanisha pesa ni ngumu kupatikana katika economy yetu. So it's not supplied. So the factors that determine the supply of money, kama takujua yani money is supplied or not, these are the factors. Some are usually regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya and some it's just by the government themselves. So the first one is printing money and issuance of new currency by central bank. So I'm repeating again, printing and issuance of new currency by the central bank. So if the bank prints a lot of money and issues a lot of currency, so yamaanisha the money is circulating, so kuna pesa nyingi. So the more money it issues or prints, then the more the supply or the higher the supply. Second one is lending by commercial banks. More loans given by CBK means more money in supply. So CBK wakitoa loans nyingi, yamaanisha hizo pesa ni rahisi kuzipata and pesa zitakuwa yatembea within our economy. Third one is selling or buying government and treasury bills. Now this is an aspect where most students usually confuse na hawajui government bonds ni nini, treasury bills ni nini. So government bonds ni kama investment, kama vile kuna shares, the government usually invests as well. So the government wako na hizo bonds, so they buy bonds from the CBK or from anyone. So if they buy bonds, yamaanisha pesa wazipeana kwa central bank, na pesa zikipeana kwa central bank, obviously you know what happens. So the government sells. So government, when it sells those bonds, they reduce money supply. Sawa? And I want everyone to understand me. If the government sells the bonds, they usually reduce money supply, kwa sababu selling involves yani wako na hizo bonds, so wakisell yamaanisha hiyo government watachukua pesa from the economy. and if it buys those bonds, yamaanisha the government is giving out money to the economy. So and the more the money will be in supply. So in short, if the government sells, they reduce money supply. Hizo bonds ni karatasi tu. So once they sell those bonds, they get money from the economy. Why? It's because the money most of the time zapatikana kwa banki zetu. So if the government sells those bonds, they get the money from the banks. Ndo maana wasikia sasa banki nyingi ukienda pesa ziko lakini huwezi ku withdraw. That is because the government took out most of the money from those banks. The other thing that you need to focus is that if the government buys bonds, okay, if they buy treasury bills or government bonds, they increase the money supply. So yeah, so we've explained that buying government bonds, we said when the government buys treasury bills, then is injecting money into the economy, and that is why the money is in circulation. So the supply of money is high when the government buys those bonds because we release cash. So once it releases cash, yamaanisha pesa ziko. So yeah, the fourth one is the value of total demand deposit. So it is first, what is total demand deposit? It is money deposited by individuals and firms in our commercial banks, like for example KCB, Cooperative, that are withdrawable on the spot upon demand. So ikiwa hizo deposits waweza kuziwithdraw hapo kwa hapo, yeah, so it means that the money will be in circulation. But sasa sometimes ukienda kwa hizo banks, hata kama wataka, for example you want to withdraw like 5 million, they won't allow easily, kwa sababu wajua once everyone does that, money will be in circulation and the inflation rate will be high. So kwa sababu if there's a lot of money supply, it means the value of money will decrease. So we just imagine kuna pesa nyingi kwenye economy, so hata hii sasa inamaanisha pesa itakuwa value yake itakuwa chini kwa sababu waweza pata pesa kirahisi. So prices increase that way and inflation starts to rise during that period. So if on the other side, if money deposited by individuals are very hard to withdraw on the spot, then it reduces the money in supply, kwa sababu huwezi withdraw na wala huwezi kuregesha sasa hizi zile pesa into the economy. The last one is the government spending. So if the government spends a lot, then it increases the amount of money in circulation. So the more the government spends, is the more amount of money that will be in circulation. That is why sometimes the government spends less and invests a lot or saves a lot, just to prevent yani inflation. Tamam. So yep, that is one thing that we've done. Now there is ethical and unethical practices in the use of money. So sometimes tuweza tumia pesa vibaya, and sometimes tuweza kuitumia in an ethical manner. So the examples of ethical practices include honesty and transparency, especially when you refuse to engage in corruption in return for contracts or other financial favors. So that is one ethical practice in the use of money. The second one is fairness to all parties. Okay, fairness to all parties. Third one is integrity. There's no conflicts of interest. The fourth one is compliance with laws and regulations. Fifth one is responsible borrowing and lending. So make sure you borrow responsibly and you lend responsibly. And the other one is to avoid bribery and corruption. So that is one way of using your money ethically. So, and also last is the other one is respecting property rights. Okay, and last one is environmental and social responsibility. Now there's also unethical practices in the use of money, and that includes, the first one is fraud and deception. So ukiona watu wengi siku hizi yani upata money wao sasa watumia hizi frauds, deception. There's also corruption and bribery that is there, and sometimes because someone here has a lot of money, then he can evade tax. And there's also money laundering. yani money laundering, wapata majaribu yani kuiba pesa za watu. And there's also insider trading, exploitative lending and counter. Okay, then there is last but not least theft, embezzlement and misrepresentation. So just like we've said, examples of unethical practices, others include like overcharging clients kwa sababu wewe wataka pesa, extortion by underpaying workers and suppliers kwa vile umeona pesa nyingi, wacha tuwaibia. Other times, if you want to get money, you employ children so that they can provide cheap labor to you. And also sometimes you misrepresent financial facts. Okay, badala useme wewe wapata milioni 5, wasema wapata 200,000, which is one way of tax evasion. So, and sometimes you cheat by selling counterfeit goods so that you can get a lot of money. Okay, and you say to the public that it's a genuine good. And also there's discrimination in business based on gender, ethnicity, race and religion. Waona hii ni tribe yangu, wacha niwape pesa mingi, hii tribe ingine wacha niwanyime. Now, I think this is the second last slide. Now, the role of money in our day-to-day lives, this is something that you should know, man. Kama hujui faida ya pesa katika maisha yetu, mitihani sasa. So sijui hizo pesa waziekelea nini. So first one, it facilitates basic needs. It meets our basic needs. Kama vile kupata chakula, shelter, clothing, healthcare, lazima uwe na pesa. Education as well, fees, school fees, food, kama unataka kupata ugali ama unataka kupata wali, lazima uwe na pesa. The other one is to provide choice and flexibility. So freedom in what and where to buy. Ukiwa na pesa mingi kabisa waweza kununua chochote. Ukiwa na pesa kidogo, we are very limited ya. Waweza kununua vitu ambao ni very cheap. Kwa mfano mtu akiwa na pesa nyingi aweza kununua iPhone 17 Plus, ndo baadaye aweze kuitumia for good video shooting. Sasa mtu ambao akona low income atanunua zile kabambe o Infinix. Watu ambao wako broke ni hao, mtu anayenunua Infinix na itaji hizo Tecno. The other one is it allows savings and future planning. So if you have money you can waweza ukaikelea for what, kuna pension scheme ya. So waweza ukaikelea pension scheme ama kutumia kwa SHA ama kwa social security fund and etc. So NSSF yani hizo. So it allows savings and future planning, especially like education, home, retirement. It connects people. It connects people through economic activity, links individuals, firms, governments. So ukiona pesa, obviously if a company has a huge profit margin, then it attracts investors ambao wako nje. Even the government gets attracted to you. The other one is it enables everyday transaction. Kama kuna pesa, kutakuwa na transaction every time and then, because money is used as a medium for buying and paying. So it also supports livelihoods. Obviously mtu ambao labda hataja kula chakula, so what do? You pay him money or you buy something to provide for him. That is why NGOs are there, CBs are there to cater for the expenses of people who have very poor livelihoods. So supports livelihoods and it's earned via employment or business. So if you are employed, obviously the money that you get from your salary will support the livelihood that you have at your home. It also measures value and aids budgeting. Kama ukona pesa, at least yani utajua vile kubudget. The more money you have, the more budgeting you can create. Ukiwa na 200,000, obviously wajua hii nitaikelea kwa hapa, hii nitaikelea kwa hapa. Ukiwa na 10,000, budgeting yako itakuwa sasa strain, even though you'll budget, but sasa itakuwa very strainful. So it keeps it ensures that there is tracking of costs and finances. Now the last one, it influences social status. Mtu akona pesa is regarded as a wealthy person. So it influences social status because money is used in getting education. So the huge amount of money that you have, the larger waweza ukapata fees ya kusoma university kubwa kama Strathmore and etc. So the more money you have, they higher the quality of education, but that's something very very sad for nowadays. I think kwa vile uko na pesa mingi ndo waweza pata quality education kubwa, which is very very sad. I believe hata wale ambao uko na low income, they can also achieve it in life. So but now this is the very dire truth of our situation in Kenya, in which if you have a lot of money, you get a quality of education, and it raises your status, the skills that you have, and the character also. So but influence the social status, but though education, skills, and character matter too. So not only not only having money ndio sasa utajulikana huyu jamaa akona hadhi nini, but sometimes education, kupata education nzuri, because you can be a foolish person with a lot of money but you don't have that education, you don't have those skills, and you don't have that character, you're not honest. Sema tu pesa ziko lakini wewe honesty yako iko chini. But though now it's a very sad situation that we have. Sometimes money can influence social status, but having this other three is also very good for you. So I think we can go to the other slide, last slide. Now the last slide and the key takeaway for this lesson is money is always the foundation of business and financial literacy. So we've studied about its features, functions, demand, supply, ethics, and daily role that shape how value moves through Kenya's economy. So in case you have a question, kindly state it on the comment section. But for now, I don't have much to say. But again, I'm asking again, if you are a grade 10 student, if you want online classes, tell me on the comment section. I've seen one person that has said, but I want students to tell me, should I start the tuition classes or for holiday program for grade 10? So currently I'm teaching from 4, but I want also grade 10 because I've seen most of my audience comes from grade 10 as well. So yep, again, I don't have much to say, and I greet you by saying assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.